Hello. Today I finally finished the football game that I showed you guys in my previous video. And if you watched my previous video, you know that I said in the previous video that I'd finish the game tomorrow. It's been a month and I only finally finished the game. It looks same for the most part, except I really changed a lot of the logic. And I'm also displaying the scores right here for the blue player and for the red player. Um, it was a lot harder than I originally expected. Like, I tried a bunch of things in order to make this game work, but it just wouldn't work. But now, as you can see, the ball moves in y-axis and it also deflects from the border, and both the players can interact with it. Where is the? Oh yeah, so the arrow keys control the red player, and the WASD command controls the blue player. Let me show you what happens when a player wins. Um, where's the? All right. So let's see by scoring with a blue player. As you can see, there's a brief message which shows that the player one has scored a goal, and it also shows up in the score, and it resets everything. So the code works for the most part, and I haven't seen any glitches. Other than one glitch, let me try to replicate that glitch. Hold on. And it's a really stupid glitch, and if it were an actual game, people would be really mad about it. This isn't an actual game. I don't think a lot of people will notice. But if I move both the players, red and blue, towards the ball, you'll notice that. Oh, let me show you this. Yeah. You notice that the red player wins, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Like, no matter how you go about this, the red player always wins. I have no idea why this happens, by the way. Like, let's try this, right? If I try to only move the red player, see, it's still red player wins. And if I only try to move the blue player, the red player still wins. I have no idea why this happens, but it, there's really no way of locking the red player if both of your bodies just overlap. But other than that, it works. Both the players can go, and, and both the players can win, I guess. But yeah, red has this weird advantage. Now, a lot of you would call this a bug. I call it a feature. It's just like chess, guys. You know how in chess the white moves first, so it's like white has an advantage over black. It's the same thing here. The red player has an advantage, and the blue player has a disadvantage. It's not a bug. It's a strategic game, all right, Seth. So yeah, it's so this is the game. Now, about the original code, I tried to implement the original code. I don't know if I showed it to you guys last time in the last video, but in the original code, I tried to implement this by using a live ball variable. Live ball variable would basically be set if the ball were to be able to move, and if the ball couldn't move, then it would be reset false. So based on that, basically what I had done was I had created a function to detect a collision between the player and the ball in a player class. Let me show it here. Yes, in the player class, right? That's what I originally did. I don't have that code right now. In the player class, I basically made a way for us to detect the collision between the player and the ball. And I did that using the PyGame's collide rectangle function, right? So it would basically be like self.rect dot collide rect, and inside there I'd have just the object of the ball, and it would detect the collision. And if it detected a collision, it would call upon a function. The function I placed on the ball class, and it would be this ball move ball self, right? It would basically call this function from the player class in, and this function is in football class. And the problem with this was I basically did it such that I had declared a global live ball this way, and then it would run this entire code would only run if the live ball was true. So I'd do something like this, or I did something like this, and then I'd basically just use this one. But it turns out I cannot do this because it can now no longer detect uh, other changes in the code because it had have entered a new loop, right? So this caused a lot of problems. I think as a seasoned coder, you guys would understand how that fucking worked out for me. Oh my god, I don't know what I just did. It was really awful because like nothing worked for a while, right? Like nothing inside the while light bulb loop. Just basically, if I had put in other conditions within the light bulb loop, for some reason it would just not work. It was really awful an experience for 2 days because I just didn't understand why it didn't work. And then I caved in, right? I tried to use a Gemini, and then I didn't send the Gemini my code. I just asked it how it would implement collisions between balls and players if it had to use a Pygame function or Pygame library, right? And that was a terrible idea because it basically suggested me using vectors. And basically, it asked me to do. Okay, I actually don't use this one, this library. Um, what it asked me to do was import what was it called? Pygame dot Victor 2, I think. I think something like that. I don't fucking remember. Basically Pygame has a bunch of math. No, hold on, actually I remember. Um Pygame dot math dot Victor 2, I think. It's dot Victor 2, right. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't know. It asked me to basically import that library and address the whole velocity and other things about the player in vectors. And I think that is a uh, very skillful thing to do, like a very smart way to implement it. Because if we using vectors, I can basically decide directions and the coordinate space of the player at the same time. But if I had to implement vectors, that would be really difficult because I'd have to change a lot in the code. So I just decided to do it my way, and it works. It really works. Um, the problem with this code is it's so goddamn slow. Like, look at the movement of the players. Holy shit, it moves so goddamn slow. Like, it's really boring. And the other bug that I just mentioned is that the red players just can just fucking power through everything. But remember, it's a strategic game, not a fucking uh, skillful game. As you can see, you can deflect it, you can move to the side and get the ball to move another way. There's another thing that I've noticed right now. The blue player, right now, as you can see, if the blue player moves this way, right, with the ball, there's really no way of catching up to the blue player. So once a player hits that state, I like to call it the flow state. There's really nothing you can do about this other than that. But then you still lose regardless because red player can just always power through you. So yeah, the scores are displayed. Most of the logic of the game works. The only thing I think is missing is that I should have made a collision detection between the players. Right now the players just can move to one another. Just like this, say. That's not a good thing. I think I should have added a little bit of space between these two players such that they could not just power through one another like this. Like the time I showed you earlier. Um yeah, I think if I had how is it? Okay, yeah, I think if I had made a simple space between the two players, it might not have collided. But I also didn't want to make it any more complex than it already is. At least at the very least, it works. It took a lot of time. It also took a month to complete this code for no reason. I'll be honest, I procrastinated for like 90% of the time. So that was a bad thing to do. But yeah, the code works, finally. Um, Thanks for watching my videos. Finished my own game that I made. You've probably seen the previous videos about the tic-tac-toe, the snake, and the other. What did I make another one? The pong game. And those were when I followed tutorials. This one, everything I made by myself. And it was really hard, but I basically used everything that I had learned previously from those three games and then made this one. So yeah, I might try to learn Godot or another way of making games. And honestly, I'd love to make an executable file rather than just launching everything in VS Code every time. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Also, I don't know if I'm gonna code a lot in another video. I want this channel to be about me learning and progressing things. So yeah, I might upload other things like playing guitar or learning how to play the flute or crocheting or something. Yeah, I want to learn new things and I want to upload the process of me learning new things on this channel. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.